Welcome, everyone, and congratulations to all the award winners tonight. The Stan Musial Award is awarded to an individual for dedication, hard work, class, and loyalty over a long period of time. That's the definition of Doug Armstrong. In October, Army served his 1,000th game as a general manager of the St. Louis Blues. No GM in our team's history can claim 1,000 games. In fact, Army today is the longest tenured GM to serve his current team in the National Hockey League. Yeah. Army became our GM more than 13 years ago, and no one keeps a job in this business for that long if they're not producing results. Army's accomplishments over that time include the most regular season wins of any team in the Western Conference, 3 division titles, a Western Conference championship, and highlighted by our first ever Stanley Cup in 2019. Yeah. As we all know, Stan Musial would have been a sports legend by any measure. Longevity, consistency, and excellence, to name a few. But I think it's fair to say, when we think of Stan Musial, we first think of Stan the man. Someone who gave more to the game and his community than was asked of him as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. I assure you that Doug Armstrong does not want to be compared to Stan, and that's not my intent. I will only say that I've had the privilege of working with Doug for more than a decade. And because he is someone who prefers that others enjoy any credit or respect due to the success of the team. Let me assure you that Army embodies the values of Stan the man: dedication, hard work, class, and loyalty. Dedication to building a winning organization the right way. Hard work that inspires everyone within our organization. Class that is evident the moment you meet him. And loyalty to the Blues and his hometown of St. Louis. It is my distinct honor that I've been asked to introduce the Missouri Athletic Club's recipient of the Stan Musial Award for 2023. Please welcome Blues General Manager Doug Armstrong.
I'd like to first of all thank the Missouri Athletic Club for hosting tonight's event and thank Al MacInnis for the kind words. I would like to congratulate the other award recipients tonight for honors that are well deserved. The Stan the Man Award is something along the lines of a Lifetime Achievement Award. And for a GM, I understand that this is more of a team award than anything else. Any success we've accumulated starts with great ownership, and there's none better than Tom Stillman and our local ownership group. This ownership group has provided the team, the city, the financial backing to compete with anyone in the NHL. Also, wins in the NHL don't come without great support of coaches, trainers, and hockey operations and business staff. I would like to thank each and every one of you for your tireless efforts in support of the St. Louis Blues. Most importantly, I would like to thank the current and past Blues players for their commitment and work ethic to excellence over the last 13 years. Without driven players, we're not here tonight. When we hear the names of Gretzky, Jordan, Brady, we think of great athletes. When I arrived in St. Louis in 2008, I thought of Mr. Musial as a great athlete. After 15 years of hearing stories and reading articles on Stan, I realized how wrong I was. Stan was a great man that just happened to be an athlete. Stan is loved by his community, and there's nothing more you can say to someone, then that's a great honor to be thought of that way. I'd like to share a few stories on how we got to the stage tonight to receive the Stand the Man Award. Before you get into the stories, I'd like to know I'll be interjecting 3 events that made me, quote unquote, break out in a cold sweat thinking my days were going to be numbered as a GM. As I stated earlier, we arrived in St. Louis in 2008 after 17 years working for the Minnesota North Stars and the Dallas Stars organization. I'm going to frame my time in Dallas quickly so you know how it molded me before coming to St. Louis. In 2002, I was elevated to the general manager's job in Dallas, and we had 5.5 very successful regular seasons. Unfortunately for us, we flamed out in the playoffs in heroic fashion every year. At the end of the 5th year and another playoff collapse, I headed off to the World Championships just to let the dust settle with the owner, make sure everything was okay when I came back. When I arrived back home, I got my first encounter that my days were going to be numbered. I walked into the house, it was immaculate. I went into our closet, all the old clothes I didn't wear were packed nicely in a box to take to Goodwill. I walked out, everything on the checklist for the summer cleaning was done. I said to my wife, well, you did a great job, what's going on? She said, well, I know you're going to go meet the ownership tomorrow, and this business is crazy, so you never know how it's going to end, so I just want to be prepared. So off I went to meet ownership that next day, and I came home with a smile on my face. We had a job. So we started the next season, off to a so-so start, 7-7-3, and I walked home that night, and I didn't have a job. I was fired by the Dallas Stars. That takes to how we arrived in St. Louis during the summer of 2008. John Davidson and Larry Plow brought me in to serve as Director of Player Personnel for 2 years, with the understanding I would take over as General Manager after that for 3 more years. John and Larry had done a great job of building assets and accumulating players, but the job that I took over in 2010 was to take those assets and build a team. We had a rocky year in 2010-11 that featured young players and a young coach, and started the 2011-12 season in the same fashion. In November of that season, we made an organizational change that set us up for the next decade. Ken Hitchcock was hired as our coach, the recently named Hall of Famer. Ken immediately gave us structure, purpose, and a roadmap to success. Ken led our team for 6 years, compiling one of the best records over that time span. As we built up the wins in the regular season and skinned our knees in the playoffs, we understood that we had something special and we needed to continue to cultivate that. In the summer of 2018, we went all in trying to win our first championship. On July 1st, the first day of free agency, we acquired Tyler Bozak, David Perron, and traded for a gentleman by the name of Ryan O'Reilly. A few days later, we hoped we'd added a final piece to a championship team by bringing in a self-proclaimed hometown hero, the big rig, Pat Moran. As a manager, you always hope for the best, but plan for the worst. That summer, I didn't follow that script. I was so excited about the group and our chances to compete for a Stanley Cup. I said to my wife, it's time. Let's put a pool in our backyard. You know why? Because St. Louis is going to be our home. I was so excited. But not only did we put a pool in, I said to my wife, we're going to put a ledge around that pool, and on that ledge we're going to put 2 fire bowls, because one day we're going to have the Stanley Cup in the middle of that. You never do that as a manager. That was the stupidest thing I've ever done. So we move ahead. Training camp starts that year, and we're one of the teams that are considered to be a top contender for the President's Trophy. Unfortunately, a funny thing happened in October and November. We sucked. And a side note, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to say that, but thank you very much for setting the standard. We struggled to win hockey games and found ourselves near the bottom of the league standings. There was a true feeling that that group of players were good, but we just couldn't find wins, which led us to make a coaching change and elevate Craig Berube, November 2018, to the head coaching position. In December of 2018, For myself and my family, our life read like a sad country music song. Our team was not performing well on the ice, and my wife got a call that her mother was diagnosed with cancer. We understood that Kelly had to go spend time with her mother and father, so we put the dog in the kennel, off she went, and I went back out on the road to do my job. Kelly got to her parents, and the stress of the situation caused her father to have a heart attack. When things finally stabilized, and this is all true, when things finally stabilized, Kelly decided to come home and spend Christmas with us. Unfortunately, Kelly was greeted with the news that earlier that day, our dog unexpectedly passed away at the kennel. While all these things happened so quickly in December, I remember standing in the backyard at our future pool, and all I saw was nothing but a big mud hole half filled with water. And I thought to myself, you're such an idiot. I can't believe you thought you'd see the Stanley Cup on that future ledge, when in reality, you're not ever going to see water in that frickin' pool. Then came the second time I thought my days were numbered as a GM. Mr. Stillman, who has always been a great supporter of the hockey operations department, called me into his office and said, Doug, I believe in what you're doing, and you don't have to worry. We're not going to make a GM change. I just received the dreaded vote of confidence. I called my wife and I said, honey, I just met with Mr. Stillman. I'll come home and tell you what she said. And you know what? I walked into the house. I had never seen it that clean. Kelly knew what she thought was going on. With December behind us, we moved into January with still a strong belief in our team, as Craig had them playing good hockey, but knowing that our time was running out. We played a game in Philadelphia in early January that changed everything. Craig decided to start a young goaltender by the name of Jordan Binnington. Binner's great play gave our group the ability to breathe, enjoy the game again, and dare I say, dream. Binner gave us a chance to win every night for the rest of the 18-19 season. We all know how the spring of 19 ended for the Blues as we captured the first Stanley Cup in franchise history. I'd like you to look at the screens and see what that actually looks like. Did you bring that? Yeah. For people out there who aren't hockey fans, that is the Stanley Cup, and that is the ledge with the fireballs beside it. Since 2019, we've had to say goodbye to some good friends and say hello to some new ones. We've had some good times, and we've had some bad times. We thought through a pandemic, and we're currently working towards building another Cup contending team. Now that brings me to the third time when I thought my GM days were numbered. About 3 weeks ago, I was informed by team president Chris Zimmerman that I was going to receive the Stan the Man Award. And I thought, that's a Lifetime Achievement Award. They don't give those out to guys buying green bananas. This is going to be short-lived. But then I thought to myself, if having that feeling your days are numbered is the cost of being associated with Stan Musial for just one night, I'd take that 100% of the time. Before I sit down here, Kelly Chase came out publicly that he's fighting leukemia right now. And he's got a great battle ahead of him. He knows that we love him. And if we could all just give Chaser a big hand right now to let him know support.